All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the show.
I know. It was great. Loved it. Loved every second of it.
Woke up this morning, saw the grass was wet.
Mm-hmm.
Grass still doing well. Been a good year for the grass.
It's been a great year for that. I
Great year.
mowed yesterday. Had a great day out there. Felt a little bit bad because it's, I'm to 1 day a week now because of my travel schedule. My lawn is used to me being out there 2 or 3 times a week.
Feels neglected.
Yeah, it feels a little bit. I could tell that there was a couple of sad spots. Just kind of frumpy face. I was like, hey, listen, Papa Bear still loves you.
Still loves you.
He loves you.
Buck up. Buck up there, laddie.
Yeah, buck up, little buckaroo.
Yeah, your travel schedule, which has you later on this morning heading out to London.
I know.
London is calling.
Right. The Clash. That would be something I would do. After, I would hunker down in my bunker, which is my room, all day long studying film, and then find a pub where an 80s band is playing. Now, that would be my idea of something cool like the Clash, or maybe, Morrissey from the Smiths, or one of those type of bands would be that. Now that would be fun for me.
So you're going to London. You're calling the game this week for Fox, the Raiders and the Bears. So you'll be in London all week.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to have that many responsibilities. I hope you're going to get out and sightsee, right?
No, I don't.
Big Ben, Buckingham Palace,
changing
to the guard.
I should do sightseeing stuff from my room, from the window of my room.
Seriously, you're going to go all the way over to London, and you're just going to hunker down in your bunker.
I'm going to eat tea and crumpets.
Oh, jeez. You trying to get me on a no, really? Not going to happen.
No. Oh, that's right. Strumpets. I'm going to eat some strumpets. What's a crumpet? Is that what is a crumpet? Tea and crumpets.
Oh, Benny?
Everything music, Benny, please. Right off the shot. Yes, a crumpet. Mm-hmm.
A crumpet is a small griddle cake made from an unsweetened batter of water or milk, flour, and yeast. Oh, sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you're probably going to come home and be down about 10 pounds with that English food
from your
over there.
mouth to my body, right? To God's ears. From your mouth to God's ears to my body. I hope I'm down 10 pounds for crying out loud. It's been, I haven't necessarily had what you call a lot of discipline when it comes to my eating habits. I'd like to say of late, if of late relates to the last, 4 years or 3 years.
You had it going there for a while, but yeah, you've lost a little your mojo.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, here's the problem. I decided to go, hey, man, I'm going straight keto. Really going to lose the weight, right? So I was really strict for 2 straight weeks, Mike. Really strict. And I stepped on a scale and I lost 2 pounds. And at that point, I was just I went out on a bread fat. I mean, I just went on bread and butter. And I'll even put extra salt on the butter because, butter's not salty enough. Dude, it was just I ate this loaf of sourdough. I starved myself. I deprived myself from bread for 2 weeks, and I lost 2 pounds.
That's
like a ravenous dog.
You had it enough, right?
Right. It was like a pack of wolves. I was my own little pack of wolves. Bread wolves. It's a thing, I think.
Well, we're trying to put off the inevitable here, and that is get to the news of the day yesterday.
I know.
Bradley Chubb. Man. Can it... when you guys won the back-to-back Super Bowls, you were here for the year after. John had retired.
Yeah.
TD goes down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you find yourselves at 0-4.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for a team that had won back-to-back championships. You were probably fighting the feeling of, oh my goodness, this doesn't feel right. This is weird. What's gonna go wrong next? So can you only imagine what it's like down there where all they've experienced the last couple of years is losing. Now have this happen? They just got to be wondering what's coming around the next corner.
I know. It just feels snake bitten, doesn't it? not playing well. You got guys allegedly making comments about only 13 games left or whatever it is, 13 weeks left. It just feels like independent contracting, not team. That's it feels that way to me. And I'm not over there. I'm sure they're, rallying the troops, they're saying the right things, and they're back there in the meeting room going, "Come on, guys. Let's win this one for Bradley." And then, they walk out, they're all fired up, and then they realize, "Oh yeah, that's right. We're not very good." Like now they go to Charger land, right?
You guys, though, kept it together that year.
Mm-hmm.
You bounced back. You finished 6-10. After what? Eventually got to did it eventually get to 0-4?
0-4, and then we won, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you eventually worked it back to 6-10. But you guys had already a culture of winning.
Yes.
You had a lot of built-in professionalism. Shanahan had been there for a long time.
Right.
So, how does a new first-time head coach already this dropped in his lap? How does he keep a team that doesn't have that winning culture? How do you keep a team like that together?
I don't know, but I mean, the bottom line is you got to go out there, you got to be professionals. But that just feels like independent contractor to me. Like, let me make sure that my tape looks good, right? Let me make sure that my tape is good for pending free agency, because there's going to be some changes. I don't know the right answer to that, Mike. We had a lot of things going on. Obviously Elway retired, and then Greasy became the starter, and so he was essentially like starting a rookie. So there was Landis Gary comes in and ends up rushing for 1,200 yards that year, but there was just there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, it comes down to culture and pride. You gotta have great culture. You gotta have guys that are team first oriented guys, not guys that are just worried about, let me put on my film. Let me make sure my film is good. I just and I know Vic Fangio kind of poo-pooed the whole culture, early this year, like, oh, culture is something everybody talks about. Let me tell you, the culture of a football team and your willingness to sacrifice for one another, it's like the culture of any organization. If you don't have that culture, your team, regardless of organization, is not going to be very good.
On the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, a crumpet is when you wake up and are 0-4 and your top defensive player is out with an ACL. That is a crumpet. This season's become a crumpet.
Just some batter, just some flour, some yeast, and throw some water in there.
And unsweetened.
Unsweetened.
Sounds delicious.
Right? Why are their teeth so bad?
Our season
they're
is
eating unsweetened
right.
crumpets.
Good point. We're a crumpet. If Mark does anything with a strumpet, Lisa will hoist his head on a petard. Good point. Stay away from the strumpets. Stay away from the strumpets.
There will be no strumpet.
There will be no strumpets. Stick with the crumpets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, coming up, Chris Harris Jr. walking back his comments, but has the damage already been done? That's next. Great song.
Oh, yeah, it is.
London's calling Mark Schlereth.
That's right.
Mark flying across the pond today.
Mm-hmm.
On his way to London.
Oh, yeah.
Working the Raiders-Bears game for Fox this Sunday.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be great. Can't wait. I'll show you. I'll send a bunch of pictures from my hotel room.
Look at the great view of London from my hotel room window.
Look at over there. That's where, if it weren't so foggy, you could see Big Ben. I think Big Ben's under construction.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they probably have it tinted or something. You know how they kind of cover it up while they're working on it.
Well, I would hope you would get out, but we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the time in London. We'll check in with you a little bit later on during the week and see how it's all going. But in the meantime, still hashing over what went down on Sunday. Your best bet is to talk about it. Vent your frustrations.
Right.
Talk yourself through what you're feeling right now. We'll be your sounding board. Leftovers from the game. RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. So, Chris Harris Jr., what did you make of him, I don't know, clarifying, walking back, however you want to describe the comments that were alleged to be made by him on Sunday, in which he said only 13 more weeks for me. He came out yesterday and said, I love being a Bronco. The only thing I am unhappy about is losing. Anyone who suggests otherwise is flat out wrong. And Harris made similar comments after talking to our buddy Troy Rank at Denver 7, that a lot of what was said was just, frustration in the locker room after the game. Vic Fangio said the same thing. Hey, these things happen. You didn't experience a whole lot of losing in your career, so you maybe might not be the best person to ask about all of this. But do you accept what Chris Harris had to say, or what was said in the heat of the moment actually reveals the most truth?
I mean, Chris has been great. Don't get me wrong. I think Chris is one of the premier players we've had. He's a Ring of Famer. The guy's a great player. But I think in frustration, oftentimes how you're feeling comes out. It's like you can tell a lot about a person when they get drunk. Every one of us have had that drunk friend that just wants to fight people, right? It's kind of who you are. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's like, there's some truth serum to that. And frustration, what's the old saying that it like pressure reveals character type of thing, right? And I'm not like Chris Harris Jr. has some of the great character in all of football. He's got great football character, but I think this frustration just goes to show you that contract stuff was a problem. That contract stuff still, is stuck a bit in his craw. And so I just that's where I think he is right now. And I understand. I don't blame him. I understand being frustrated by stuff like that.
Adversity does not build character.
It reveals it.
It reveals it.
Right. And this is where the Broncos are right now. And we'll see. I mean, at what point, like last week was the point where you have to rally, you have to get a stop, you've got to do something. I mean, now you're sitting at 0-4. There's one team in the history of the league that's gone 0-4 and gone to the playoffs. That was the Chargers back in 92, I believe, led by Stan Humphries. Actually, I think they went to the Super Bowl did they go to the Super Bowl that year and just get throttled by San Francisco? Is that the year? I don't know. I just know that that's the one team that's done it. So how do you go down to LA, face the Chargers? Do you rally? Do you bow your back? Do you do something special? Or do you roll over?
Well, you tell me, because we hear this all the time. Hey, I got to be a professional. This is my job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's my job. I'm paid well. I have pride in what I do.
Right.
And we've seen it over the course of you'll get down near the end of the season this year, and it'll be week 14, 15, 16, 17, and there'll be teams that are out of it,
right,
who will actually put up a pretty inspired effort.
Correct.
And you'll hear the talk afterwards will be, we had pride, we're professionals, and, we had a job to do. Plus, you are playing a division rival. And doesn't that always help get you a little bit more juice for a game when you're playing a team that you play twice a year?
Sure.
Doesn't that always give you a little bit more oomph?
Yeah, but it's very hard to have the energy of adrenaline or the adrenaline through 4 quarters. It doesn't happen very often. And so my thought is this. Unless you build this huge lead and you hang on, my thought, like the Raiders going to last week to Indianapolis, they build a huge lead and they hold on for a 31-24 lead, right? Or win. Like, you build that huge lead, then it's kind of hang on. You don't, there's not 4 quarters of momentum for the quote-unquote road team that's not very good, if you will. So at some point, their superior talent beats your mojo, if you will, beats your, let's go get this one, guys. Let's go prove them wrong. Let's, that energy that you have when you're an underdog and you're not a very good team. Eventually, the team who's got better talent makes some plays, and then have you built a big enough lead to hang on toward the end?
See, I just don't think that we are at that stage yet where you're falling back as a player on, I got to be a professional. It's my job. I got to see this thing through. There's still 12 games left in the season.
You honestly think anybody over there thinks, hey, guys, we can go on a run? Honestly.
A run? Just define a run.
We can win 6 straight and be sitting at 6-4.
No. But
we can win.
I would think at this stage,
with
with this much football left to play, you can sort of compartmentalize where you're at. The idea isn't you stop looking at the big picture, and it's just about, hey, it's this week. I want to go play well. We want to win. I want to get that winning feeling back again. And if we can get it going, why can't we continue to build on it? And then, 6 weeks from now, you look up and you see where we're at, and then you take stock of the record. I would think that with this much football left to play, you have to be able to get yourself in a mindset where you're not thinking about the record. It's all about just going out playing well, having fun.
Losing.
And not thinking about
losing's not fun.
Not thinking about, well, check it in, clock it in for another day. Gotta be a pro.
Do you think there is any?
I get when it gets to December. Sure.
Yes.
But you're still in. Come on, we just turned the page to October.
Do you think you could go 6-2 and be 6-6 by when's their bye week? That math didn't add up, did it?
No, it's after week 9.
So how many games is that? 5 games?
5 games left.
Can they go 4-1 in these 5 games
why can't you tell yourself?
4-5?
See, all I've heard covering football for the last 20 plus years is that coaches and teams like to break their seasons up into quarters, right?
Right.
All right. First quarter was a disaster.
Right.
Bad. All right, guess what? Here's the second quarter.
Right.
All right, guys, we got a fresh quarter.
We're back.
Next 4 games. Let's go out and let's win this quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Just break it down. Try not to make it about the whole big picture.
You know what they should do? And I don't know if anybody's ever said this. So, hey, Ben, get ready to put this on recording.
Oh.
They should take it one game at a time.
Like that.
Just focus on the little things. Right?
You got me. Keep going.
Maybe they should dot their I's and cross their T's.
Yeah. Man, I'm getting dazzled by this.
Right.
Stay within themselves.
Boom. Do your job, nobody else's. I think we solved it, Mike.
All right, done.
Ben, can you send that to the Broncos?
Yes.
Just clip that right
Care
there.
of Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Coach. You are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Morning Brew is coming up next. The Nuggets had their media day yesterday. All right, let's talk expectations. How high is the bar set for that team? That's next.
time for your morning brew.
Things are gonna get weird.
You're gonna eat lightning, and you're gonna drop thunder.
Okay, this guy needs coffee and crullers stat.
Know what could really help you sort through these important issues?
What? Orange mocha frappuccino!
Damn, Jimmy, this some serious gourmet.
Let's get it on!
That's a huge loss. You know, he's one of our better players, obviously. He's a tempo setter, great player, great person, leader, all that, you know, so it is a loss.
Pretty impressive, before we get into the downer about the Bradley Chubb injury, pretty impressive that the guy actually, you know, we thought it was, cramps? And, you know, it turns out the guy came back into the game and continued to play on a torn ACL.
Yes.
Didn't realize it until the next morning that something was up.
Mm-hmm.
Von Miller had a torn ACL. He came back and was a Super Bowl MVP. Should we feel confident that this kid who has such a bright future, just jaw-dropping athleticism, should be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Should be great. I mean, and you've got to understand, tearing an ACL, what it was, 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever.
Like when it happened to TD, he was never the same.
Right. It's so much less invasive, and they don't open. Now they do most of it through arthroscopic, and it's very small incision. Yeah, absolutely. You should just bounce back from that, and be ready to roll. So most guys, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to when you start playing again, but. Yeah, the surgery is such that most guys bounce right back and play exceptionally well.
Can you find a silver lining in it?
In tearing your ACL?
No, in him being out. The whole, hey, we get a chance to see what Malik Reed can do, and Justin Hollins might get a chance to do more, and that's a tough sell there.
Yeah, that'd be no. But, yeah, yes. We're going to get to see some of our young guys.
Next man up.
Yeah.
Next man up.
Love the young guys.
Next on the Morning Brew.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to close it. We haven't been the closers that we have in the past. And it's not the same defense, totally different players, all new guys. So we got to figure out how to close as a team.
Okay, Chris Harris Jr. walking back his 13 more weeks for me comment. Put out on Twitter, I love being a Bronco. The only thing I'm unhappy about is losing. Anyone who suggests otherwise is flat out wrong. It is for the best, honestly, that this did come out. Because better to have it come out.
Right.
Let it be exposed. Let everybody talk about it. Let everybody react to it. Let everybody deal with it. Rather than just letting it just continue to fester behind closed doors.
Yes.
How's that for a silver lining?
That is a great, great silver lining.
But is it right?
Unfortunately, it doesn't help with the talent level.
No. The talent level is the talent level. You can't control that, but you can control attitude. And I think it's better to just sort of expose this to the light.
Right.
Rather than letting it just...
This is kind of where we are.
Grow and grow and grow and metastasize in the background.
It's a big word. That's right. Man. I always learn so much from you. Metastasize.
You know what it is? I was around Cloughy yesterday. Only for about 20 minutes. But it's like, you'd always like to talk about Uda McVeigh.
Right.
There's a little bit of Uda Sandy. Uda Cloughy.
Uda Cloughy. I mean, you just, you rubbed up against him, and all of a sudden you said, equals MC squared. You're like, what? Where'd that come from? Right? Cloughy's just really smart. Just carries
a nattering nabob of negativism.
Next on the Morning Brew.
Human nature is our biggest opponent. Don't be satisfied. Last year was great. We got to work even harder this year. And the players' commitment, them being here all month, putting the time in the weight room on the court, it's been phenomenal. So I'm very excited to start camp tomorrow and start working towards hopefully bringing back a championship to this city.
No, I love it. Michael Malone talking championships. My goodness, it has been a long drought around here where a team other than the Broncos legitimately went into a season talking championship. And the Nuggets can talk about it. I think the Avalanche can talk about it. My latest column, which is dropping later this morning.
Do you drop a column?
I drop a column.
I wrote a blog.
Is about how the future is now for the Avalanche after years of just, kind of kicking the can down the road. Oh, our prospects. Well, that time has arrived now, and now it is time to win. And Mark, for me, both the Nuggets and Avalanche, my bar is set at Western Conference Finals for both these teams.
Okay.
You?
Oh, I love it. I love having expectations. I love having the pressure of expectations. Because we're going to see what how these players respond. And I love what Michael Malone said. Like, you've got to fight human nature. Human nature is to be sated by some level of success.
But the way the
things
season,
are good.
Yeah, but the way the season ended, you had Portland down. You're up 3-2. You got Game 7 at home, and you didn't poop in your helmet. You pooped in your shorts.
Been there.
Haven't we all?
Yes.
Haven't we all? Next on the Morning Bro.
Shotgun snap, rolling right is Mason Rudolph, and he finds his man Samuels down to the goal line. Touchdown Pittsburgh from 21 yards out. James Conner pulled that ball in.
Mason Rudolph? Throwing touchdown passes?
Wasn't he a khaki pants guy?
He is a khaki pants guy.
24-28, 229.
Couple touchdowns.
No picks, right?
No picks.
Weird.
But
those guys can't play,
I thought you only could find winning starting quarterbacks in the NFL if you draft them in the top 5 or 1 through 19.
Yes.
So tired.
By the way, though,
quarterback rating of 124.6 for my guy Mason.
The guy he was playing against also was a khaki pantser.
Yep, and Andy Dalton has a career-winning record in the league. No, he's got a career-winning record.
He sucks.
Well, can't really argue with that.
He sucks.
He is burdened by being in the. Are we better than the Bengals?
No, wait. He did get sacked 8 times. That was a sieve in front of him. So, are we better than the Bengals?
Are we better than the Bengals?
Yes.
No.
No, I think we're better than the Bengals.
Yeah, I think so.
Of the 0-4 teams.
Ooh.
Can't believe we're having this conversation.
Are we the best 0-4 team on the planet?
Are we the best 0-4 team
in the NFL?
Are we the best winless team? Okay, here are your candidates.
Okay. Lay them on me.
Arizona?
We're better than them.
Washington?
We're better than them. We upgraded the quarterback. They have Keenum.
Miami?
Fools.
Miami?
Yes. Although they do have a Hall of Fame 5 QB.
They do. And Cincinnati.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the best winless team in the league.
Here's the problem. We're winless, and we're the best of 5 winless teams. That means right now we'd have the 5th pick. 4th pick.
We're back.
Arizona's going to tie.
They should do.
Man, if I'm going to be 0-4, I want to be the worst. Not like.
They should do like a round robin winless team tournament to see who like the king of the hill is.
That'll do it for the Morning Brew. Bring that to you each and every morning at 6:30. Coming up next, always enjoy talking football with Rex Ryan, especially after he found himself immersed in a controversy last week. We'll talk to Sexy Rexy. He'll join us coming up next. Want to tell you about Nobler. N-O-B-L-R. Nobler.com. It's simply smart insurance for smart drivers. Get yourself the Nobler app. Apps help us out with everything, right? Your steps, your sleeping patterns, the traffic, but you pay for car insurance that's based on, the way everyone else drives, the insurance company's whim. Well, that's what Nobler Insurance is here to fix. Car insurance with personalized monthly rates and rewards based on how much and how well you drive. No mysterious rates or mumbo-jumbo from an insurance agent that you're pretty sure is taking advantage of you. The Nobler app can measure things like how hard you brake and whether you're texting and driving, which I know you never be doing right now, to things like daily mileage, to time of day, even road choice. Do you choose to take the back streets or head out on the highway? The bottom line, Nobler bases your personalized monthly rates, and rewards on how you drive, not everyone else, which means good drivers like you can save a lot of money. Nobler, simply, smart insurance for smart drivers. Get your quote at Nobler.com, again spelled N-O-B-L-R, Nobler.com. Individual savings may vary, must meet eligibility requirements to bind a policy. All right, let's get to some of the Broncos leftovers from the other nights. Of course, we're the worst 0-4 team. Miami is tanking. Redskins have injuries. Arizona's starting a rookie quarterback. We have no excuse. We're actually trying to win with our best players on the field. What is our excuse? That's a good point. By the way, I forgot the Jets. The Jets also are winless as well. So there are 6 winless teams right now in the NFL.
Gosh, 6 winless teams, and we're one of them.
We're one of them.
Where are we in the overall, like in the overall?
Yeah,
because there are tiebreakers in there, and
so
there's
the way they have
strength of schedule things.
Yeah, I'm looking at ESPN. The way they have it all ranked is the Broncos are second to last.
So that means we're in the number 2 overall position, right?
I believe so.
So
I can't.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I can't do this right now. I can't do this early in the season. There's 12 games left. I can't. This is such foreign, uncharted territory. I can't be this early.
Looking at draft position?
I can't do that. I'm sorry, I can't. I can't be compared. I can't do it. What I'd rather do is talk to the great Rex Ryan.
Yes.
Who joins us periodically. Found himself in a little bit of a, kerfluffle last week.
I don't think he really cares.
I don't think so either.
Knowing Rex, I don't think he really cares.
Well, let's ask him.
Yeah.
Rex Ryan joins us now. Good morning, Rex.
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. How do you feel being on Baker Mayfield's list? I'm on there too, by the way.
Hey, you know what's funny? I mean, you think about this. Good thing that kid's not playing in New York, huh?
Right.
Hey, it's funny. You know, the good thing is, when I look at it, I just told the truth. I watched those first 3 weeks, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, they got all this talent, and they're just not playing up to it. Now, then he goes out and plays his butt off. I'm like, okay, but I guess that's kind of what we were expecting from that team. At least that's what I was expecting from that team early. And they finally showed up.
Yeah,
so we'll see if they can continue with them.
Yeah, Rex, because it's different now. I mean, you haven't coached for a few years, but you're not that far removed. How difficult is it from a coaching standpoint to put all amassed talent together, new guys together, not practice in the preseason anymore, and expect to go out there and to play well? I mean, that's a hard thing to ask anybody to do.
Yeah, I guess so, and maybe that's what the deal is, But I could tell you this: I always had my team ready to play early. Now we might not have finished that way, but we dang sure started that way. And I think your job as a coach is to get them ready, as best you can. And you're the only one. You dictate whether they play in the preseason or not. So. That's kind of on you. But I guess I just expected, that team to be ready from jump. But when you have 2 all-pro receivers, you have athletic tight end, actually 2 of them as we see. You have an excellent running back in Nick Chubb. It was kind of, I expected that offense to be in mid-season form, which it looked like, finally against the Ravens, they put it all together for sure.
Busy with Rex Ryan from ESPN. Rex, what's your reaction to the Broncos starting off 0-4?
Yeah, a little shocked by that. Especially the fact, the lack of production in the pass rush. You expected to see sacks and a lot of those things. They finally had, 5 last week. And then you lose Bradley Chubb. So that's obviously a big blow to him. But, Von Miller's off to such a slow start statistically. I'm a little surprised by that.
How difficult was it being a coordinator in the league for you for so long and then becoming that head coach? How difficult a transition was that? Because obviously we've got that going on here with Vic Fangio, who's been a hell of a coach in this league for a very long time, said it was going to be somewhat of a transition, not being upstairs because he always coached the defense from upstairs. So for you, your experience, what was that like?
Well, for me, I guess, look, I always coach from the field, so that was it. I love to feel the pulse of the players and get that sense of what was going on from the field level, and it was smooth for me. I never needed charts to coach off of. It's just boom, let's just roll. So I always loved the interaction with the players. Part of my strength, I thought, was motivating players and being right there with them and being able to communicate with them. Look, Vic was with me in Baltimore. He was actually an offensive consultant, but I'm like, hey, look, man, just come in our defense, come and he did, and shoot, he ended up playing defense better than we did in San Francisco when he was there. So he's a good coach. Sometimes there's adjustments periods, though. There's no question about it when you become a head coach. I thought when I took the job that when you got to speak to the whole team and present to the whole team, and sometimes that's more difficult for others than it is. For me, that was nothing. I get up and like that's too easy. So I guess that's. I really don't know, and I don't know if that's the problem right now they're having, or it's just unfortunate they haven't won a game. Now look, this week they're playing half a roster. So they better get a win this week, going up against the Chargers. I think they have one healthy receiver. They don't have a healthy tight end. And, they finally get the running back, but 3 starters out and they're back in. And Melvin Ingram out. I mean, if they don't win this one, there's going to be some issues.
Well, let me ask you about those issues. So we're visiting with Rex Ryan. We've already heard Chris Harris Jr. allegedly made comments about, hey, I've only got 13 more weeks of this, and players who are going to be potential trade bait here by the end of the month. How, as a coach, do you keep all that noise down and keep a team that's 0-4, focused on still trying to go out and have the best season possible?
Yeah, I've never been 0-4, so that would be new to me, but I have had some bad years, and really, I think this chirping by players is way different. Look, I experienced it a little bit in Buffalo. I had a guy that couldn't play dead in a B Western, making $16.5 million 1 year, his last year, and he was bitching because I would drop him in coverage. I'm like, hell, you ain't rushing the passer, so I might as well drop you in coverage. But, he had retired. He just never told anybody. So that's sometimes some issues. You just got to get people to buy in. And sometimes if they don't want to buy in, then you move on from them. But I think that would be the best thing, for Vic. Look, Harris is an amazing player. I'm just shocked that he doesn't play in the slot. He's one of the best nickels in football. And when I watch him, I'm like, well, what's he doing on the outside all the time? And maybe you guys you feel good about your nickel. I don't know. But that's a little different for whatever reason. Vic's doing something there with him and thinks maybe he's better on the outside. But to me, I always loved him. I thought he was one of the best nickels in football.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Rex, you're the best, man. We really appreciate you jumping on. All the best to you. Always love seeing you on TV doing your thing. So appreciate you, buddy.
All right, Stink. You take care, okay?
All right, man.
All right, there he is.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
That's right, the one and only Rex Ryan.
I love Rex.
All right, we'll respond to what he had to say. A lot to sift through there. We'll do that coming up next. Experience, knowledge, history, integrity, could go on and on. These are just some of the qualities Bill Watson has and what he'll use to help you sell your home. Get the most for your home. Save that precious equity. Bill Watson, the Watson Group at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, where their name is their promise. Bill Watson has over 30 years of local real estate experience, and that kind of experience has allowed Bill to build different systems that are in place and ready to go to better market your home and get you top dollar. The results, well, they speak for themselves. Bill Watson nets his home sellers more money and sells his homes 23% faster than the average agent and is top ranked in Denver according to the MLS. Gotten to know Bill and his sons, Lance and Evan. This is a tight-knit family that works very well together. They are straight shooters. They know you have plenty of options out there when it comes to selling your house. All Bill wants is a chance to meet with you, lend you his thoughts, his recommendations, and years of experience. So call Bill Watson, the Watson Group, at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, where their name is their promise. 720-463-0002, 720-463-0002, or online at billhasthebuyers.com. Just had a chance to talk with Rex Ryan, and he said something interesting, Mark. And you think about all the things that are out there in sports that are hard to define. You know, what makes a winning culture.
Right.
What's more important, talent or chemistry, all those things. Another one I hadn't really thought of, mainly because we haven't really had to worry about that around here when it came to the Broncos, but we're dealing with it right now, is the idea of how do you get a team to buy in when things aren't going well?
Right.
Because there are a lot of teams that seasons start bad and they just stay bad.
Correct.
Sometimes seasons start off poorly, they turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that thing that kind of hovers over it, that hard to define, getting everybody to still buy in. So what does buying in mean?
Yeah, getting everybody, we hear the process. We hear people talk about the process and this, that, and the other. Buy into the coaching. I mean, it's interesting that Rex would say what he said about Chris Harris Jr. And it's the same thing that I got from Matt Nagy. You've got the best slot corner in football. So why is that guy playing outside? Well, because he's also a good corner out there, right? But again, it goes to show you that, like, putting guys in the best position to be successful, like that to me is great coaching. And I understand that you thought you were going to have Bryce Callahan, who you spent a lot of money on with a foot injury, that he may never take a snap as a Bronco. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. And they opted out of surgery to have a special procedure on the foot, whatever that means. So I just, I don't know, Mike. I think it just goes to show you lack of depth, the injury concerns, this, that, and the other. Again, like the Kareem Jackson signing was a little bit curious in that they said, hey, we're going to take this guy who's been a corner. We're going to pay him that money, but then we're moving to safety. And I understand that a lot of safeties, the premier safeties, got paid this offseason. Guys like Earl Thomas got paid this offseason, big money. And so maybe that's the direction people are going in, because the way people are playing right now, those those center fielders that play safety are some of the most valuable erasers in the game. So I get that. I get that part of it. But, I feel like the best thing you can do for a football team is put guys in positions that accentuate the strengths and, minimize the weaknesses. And I thought that was an interesting comment by Rex. Like, this is the best slot corner in football. Why would you play him outside?
Because he is also your best outside corner.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Although, okay, if you have a guy that's very good at slot, very good at outside, seems to me more of the game's being played in the middle of the field now.
Mm-hmm.
So would he be better served playing him in the slot and then just take your chances on
right
the Isaac Yadams, the Duke Dawsons of the world, out on the corners?
Yeah, I always look at the edge players, Mike, the corners out there. One, how many times do you cover a receiver that's outside the numbers? Like, there's a lot of that, right? Or if the guy gets inside the numbers, then you take outside leverage because you're forcing him into your safeties. It's all a number game and a leverage game, right? Gets outside the numbers, now you play inside leverage. You take away the slants, and you try to force him to the edge beyond what we call the red line, toward the sideline as an extra defender. So, playing outside is just easier. Playing inside is harder because you've got two-way goes everywhere. Like, so if he's your best inside corner, being that the outside to me is a bit easier to funnel guys and use your help, wouldn't it just make more sense to play him in there?
You'd think.
And I think the answer would be yeah.
You'd think. Especially since you're so thin at linebacker, inside linebacker. You've had trouble covering in the middle of the field. So, yes, it makes complete sense. You still didn't answer my question, though.
What was it? Okay.
How do you get a team that's 0-4, and you've already got the chirping, and you got the frustration, and you got the finger pointing? how do you get, if you're Vic Fangio, a first-time head coach, how do you get a team to buy in? What's the message?
Listen, man. I don't know, Mike.
And you've been around football your entire life. You know the locker room dynamic and everything. And that's why I said it's a hard to define thing. And if it was easy, every team that starts off poorly would still find a way to, give it the old college try right to the end of the season. But a lot of teams don't.
Right.
They start off bad and things just continue to deteriorate and crumble.
Right.
So you're right. There is no clear-cut answer.
I think, and I think there's part of it is that when you have the right culture built in, that, the guys take a us against the world mentality. We believe in each other, and we're going to go out here and play hard for one another. That's the only thing I know, Mike. The only thing I know that consistently wins is when you care more about the other guys than you care about yourself. That's it. And you've got to care more about the guys that in the equipment room, more about the guys in the training room, more about you've got to care more about the organization than you care about yourself.
Not easy to do. Hey, invite you to go to 1043thefan.com. My latest column has dropped this morning.
Mm-hmm.
It is about the Avalanche and their season game ready to kick off. I invite you to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. It's a good blog, people.
What I have to say about the job that Joe Sakic did this offseason, what some of the strengths of this team are, some of the question marks that surround this team, and ultimately, what are the expectations for this season? I have high expectations for this season. In a nutshell, I think this is a team that should be playing they should win their division, push aside the Nashvilles, St. Louis's, the Winnipegs, go out, win the division, finish with either home ice advantage for the whole playoffs or at least for the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Higher expectations. Did you have higher expectations or do you have higher expectations for the Avalanche than you did for the Rockies?
Yes.
And we'll see how they respond because you know what they have right now? Same thing the Rockies had, expectations.
By the way, I got to get to the...
How do you respond to those expectations? You got to get to what?
Leaked letter that Dick Montfort and Jeff Bridich sent out to Rocky season ticket holders. We'll get to all that, plus more Bronco leftovers next. Coming up, some of the comments from Dick Montfort and Jeff Bridich in a letters to Rocky season ticket holders. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. Some of the leftovers from the Broncos-Jags game from the other day. A little early question mark. If Pat was still here running the team, do you think he would do the right thing for the team and fire John just like he did with Mike Shanahan?
I think that would be on the table. And that would be part of what they would look at. They would you would at least look at their scouting department, the record of their scouting department, the development of players, and there would be some discussions, at least possibly some changes within that scouting department. Because, theoretically, and we don't really know, we can't really evaluate the 2018 and certainly can't evaluate the 2019 draft to this point, can we? Like, honestly, can we really do that right now? No. But we can we have a pretty good idea of the 2017 draft, 2016, 2015, 2014, all that, right? And we know that those drafts have not been very good. Then you couple that with a lack of production at the free agent position. I mean, just look at the right tackle position in general. The money you've spent in free agency on the right tackle position haven't been able to fix that. So, I think that, that would be something that Pat would look seriously at. And it may not just be John, but I think he would look at that scouting department, that player, that pro personnel department. And I think that that would be something that would be on the table.
Yeah, that's something that I don't understand is that, when you see coaches that are on the hot seat, okay, they'll fire a coordinator. They'll change up their assistants. They'll fire the hitting coach or change out the pitching coach before you ultimately get rid of the top guy. You will see changes in the scouting staff, directors of personnel, before you ultimately fire the general manager. So I know that there are plenty of people out there who are warming to the idea that John needs to go, but there are also plenty of people out there in Broncos country who still remain very loyal to the idea that John can turn this around. All right, well then to those people, how about you meet me halfway? How about we find some common ground this way? How about at least, if John isn't going anywhere, you change what's going on around him. The Broncos have one of the smallest front offices in the entire NFL. And if you go back and look at the guys that are in the front office right now, many of them have all been there since day one with John. There's been very little turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just seem to me that when you're in this rut that you're in, 16-32 in your last 48 games, that's 3 full seasons of sample size. All right, you don't want to blow out the entire front office, including John. Why not make some changes? Get in some new blood. Bring in some people from winning organizations that are due a promotion from what they're doing right now. Why stay with the same old, same old? We're going to get to the Rockies here in a second. I mean, I derisively call them the Stay Pat Rockies. Well, unfortunately, the Broncos are starting to take on that same kind of feel. We stay pat, we stand pat.
Right. Well, I mean, certainly when you start looking, Mike, at the history of this draft, at this organization over the last several years, and let's face it, I kind of tongue-in-cheek say it's Peyton Manning's fault because Peyton Manning covers a bunch of warts. He did it in Indianapolis, and he did it here. But at some point, he's gone. And at some point, you have to understand, 2016, 2017, 2018, you got to replenish your roster. And, I mean, I talked about it, Valdir. I talked, Donald Stevenson, Menelik Watson. And now, Juwan James, and it's too early to count Juwan James out, but, he did have a history of being injured. Kareem Jackson now, you spent a bunch of money on him, injured. I mean, Ryan Callahan, spent a bunch of money on him. He was hurt when you spent the money.
Bryce Callahan.
What'd I say?
Ryan. This is not O'Reilly. See, this is why the O'Reilly game stinks. Because I'm like, is that Mark trying to suck me in, or is that Mark just making another mistake?
I can't even help myself. Every time I say that guy's name, all I can think of is Callahan Auto. Built by the American working man for the American working man. The Tommy boy in me, man. I can't even help myself.
I know. Letter from Dick Montfort.
Okay.
To Rocky season ticket holders. Been shared out there on from our peeps. Here's what he had to write.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start. Well, here's it. First paragraph. Mentioned how they drew just short of 3 million fans, which ranked 6th in all of baseball, which is a reminder of what I've been saying for 20-plus years out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they would like to win, but it is not their all-consuming goal over there. At the end of the day, they will toast to a job well done because the bottom line of the Rockies is robust. They drew almost 3 million fans. It was a good year for the Rockies.
Sure.
All right, so no matter what Dick Montfort says, it was a great year for the Rockies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Always remember that, because that's what drives them over there. All right, then he went into somehow trying to make it about baseball. All right, let's start with the facts. We have 4 all-star everyday players, a catcher that is starting to get national attention for his defense, game calling, and energy. We have an exciting group of up-and-coming homegrown position players who began making a name for themselves in 2019. We have a young pitching staff with the ability to be excellent or grind through an outing to keep us in games. Our bullpen continues
Wait a minute. You do have 4 all-star everyday players. I'll give you that.
And Tony Walters had a nice year.
Yeah, the little cat, right? That guy can play. I like him. But, okay. Now,
So he starts to strain credibility.
Yeah, that was all good. The first part of that, 100%.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Our bullpen continues to be a work in progress.
Okay.
Getting called into games way earlier this season and not performing the way we needed them to.
All right, well, what happened to the young pitching staff who can grind out? Those two things aren't congruent, right? If you had a young pitching staff that could actually, dominate and then grind out, why is your bullpen called in too early?
I don't think the issue was the bullpen got called in too early. The bullpen just isn't good. Didn't matter when they were called in.
Would you have been okay if you said our bullpen was a bit of a gas can?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though it might seem idealistic with the disappointment of 2019 so fresh in our minds, I'm optimistic in the core. Does this mean we just sit? Absolutely not. As a group, Jeff, Buddy, our baseball department, and I will evaluate everything, and we will start addressing all of the issues immediately. Our bullpen needs improvement. All right, he acknowledges that. Our players who excelled in 2018 need to return to that level of performance. Our starters need to take the next step. And we need the young guys who came up and performed late in the season to get even better. All right, so here's what I zeroed in right there on. Our bullpen needs improvement. You know how you improve your bullpen? You eat salary. You eat salary. You dump the Jake McGees, the Brian Shaws of the world. Eat salary. You'll eat a lot of money, but eat it and then go out and spend more resources to go out and improve the bullpen. What's the likely? Where would you place the odds that Brian Shaw, Jake McGee, Wade Davis are all part of this team next year?
I think Wade Davis will be somewhere else because his home and road splits are really good.
Think you might be able to move him?
I think you'd be able to move him. You might have to eat some of that salary. Brian Shaw, no, and Jake McGee, no. You're just gonna have to. You're gonna have to wear that one. That's like going up after your best player got hit, right? You walk up there, you just know you're the number 4 hitter. You know you're wearing one of the ribs. You just like, all right, this is gonna hurt. It's gonna sting a little bit, but you just know that that's gonna happen. That's it.
Jeff Bridich also wrote a letter. We'll get to him a little bit later on in the show. But up next.
Could we even understand it? I mean,
well,
he's way smarter than it.
Good point. I might
know.
need to bring in Sandy to translate for me.
Okay, good.
He can explain it in words that you and I, and
A
everyone else,
nattering nabob of negativism.
that everybody else can understand. 4 Down Territory coming up next.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my championship dealership. That's the great folks over at Champ BMW, guys. And I'm telling you what, little rain today. Eventually, you know that's going to be snow. Not going to be a problem for me because I'm driving the brand new BMW X5 with that X-Drive all-wheel drive technology up and down the streets, whether it's wet, icy, snowy, doesn't matter. I'm going to have no issues getting over here to 104.3 The Fan, that's for sure. One price, one person, 1 hour, promise pioneered to identify, respect, and exceed the client's expectation. Seamless transactions with no surprises. It's car buying redefined. Experience it firsthand only at Champ BMW. One of the reasons I've been doing business with them for the last 11 years, guys. Walked in, it's about relationships, and I'm telling you what, they have taken care of me, been a customer for life, guys. And simple, transparent, I'm telling you what, they're personal. They build those relationships. They've got a great selection, the largest selection of used, certified pre-owned, and new vehicles. They're currently located off of C470 and Highlands Ranch Boulevard, Highlands Ranch, or in Highlands Ranch, excuse me, Lucent and C470 in Highlands Ranch. I tell you what, they're absolutely amazing, guys. That's Champ BMW, my championship dealership, where it's always one price, one person, 1 hour. Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from friends at West Rock Coffee. You guys know Coffee Junkie, guilty as charged. The only coffee we drink in studio, West Rock Coffee, the official coffee of Schlereth and Evans, with the light roast, dark roast, medium roast, you name it, they have it. Always delicious drinking coffee, guys. So smooth, never bitter, and now you can make it your official coffee as well because you can find it in 2 exclusive locations. One, King Supers. You're going there anyhow today, man. Swing into the freezer aisle, the International Foods, pick up my green chili, my queso dip, then head to the coffee aisle and find West Rock Coffee. It's the one in the gold package with the elephant logo on the front, all right? Or if you're driving around town, it's a rainy day, maybe you need a little warm pick-me-up, swing into your Colorado Loaf and Jug convenience store where they're exclusively serving West Rock Coffee. Guys, pour yourself a cup of the Mezza Morning Blend. That's what we're drinking right now in studio. Oh, delicious. So 2 great locations. 1, Colorado Loaf and Jug, or 2, King Supers in the coffee aisle, the gold package with the elephant on the front. That's West Rock Coffee, the official coffee of Schlereth and Evans. Hey, do yourself a favor and go get some today.
That guy's pretty good. If you like 6'5", 230-pound quarterbacks, laser, rocket arms.
It's my quarterback. And if you guys do that, man, it's unfair.
On Sports Radio 104.3, The Fan.
Chicken parm, you taste so good.
Ready, break! First down.
It's a huge loss. He's one of our better players, obviously. He's a tempo setter, great player, great person, leader, all that, so it is a loss.
Mark, is there any silver lining to Bradley Chubb going out for the rest of the year with an ACL?
I mean, you could make up something about young players getting opportunities, and sometimes, you find out sometimes the young players can actually play when they get those opportunities, and then you don't sign them to long-term deals, and they lead the league in sacks for Tampa. So maybe. Maybe,
snap.
Yeah, maybe there's a silver lining to that. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
There's got to be something, because you can't just go all good. Well, all right, what about this? What about the idea?
Lay it on me.
What about the idea that this defense through the first 4 games has been too focused, too built around the idea of what Vaughn and Chubb do? And that maybe it will allow this defense to do some different things because Chubb isn't there. And maybe it'll be a better defense. Am I reaching?
I'm trying to see the thing about having a gigantic head.
Yes, it comes up with a lot of ideas.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
Like
my head, fairly small.
Yeah.
Thick skull, like wall. Not a lot of room
kind
in
of
there.
Beetlejuice-like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is no. The more I have exceeded, I always say there's a certain head to body weight ratio. Like you can't get much thinner. Like if you lost a lot of weight, you would look really weird.
That's like an orange on a toothpaste.
Yeah, I can't really. I'm at a point right now that I really can't gain much more weight than I'm at because my head is just. The good news, though, is my jowls get bigger, so it does, but the top of my head is still...
My head on your body. Huh. Fantastic.
It would be, that would be the perfect...
Body.
Right, it would just be, that would be the symmetry would be perfect.
Perfect. Next on 4-down territory.
Second down.
Shotgun snap, rolling right is Mason Rudolph, and he finds his man Sanders down to the goal line. Touchdown, Pittsburgh, from 21 yards out. James Conner pulled that ball in.
Steelers radio. Mason Rudolph. My guy. 2nd-round pick. Khaki pants.
Yes.
24 of 28. 229 yards.
It's amazing.
2 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. Quarterback rating of 124.6. All this from a guy who was not picked in the first 5 of the first round. Or the first 19, or what is it? It could be 1 through 5 or 1 through 19, but not 20 through 29. But you can then take them 30 or 31 or 30.
There's a lot of.
I mean, the goalposts get moved a lot, when it comes to all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of. It's like, did you ever take a programming class when you're in college? What
kind of programming? Like computer programming?
Yeah, computer programming class.
Yeah,
if this, go to this, then that.
Thank God I think I got Simcox to get me through that class.
That was the Reader's Digest version. I got a D in that class, so you could tell that I didn't really get it. I didn't understand it. What is it? The zeros and the ones, and what do they call that? Binary code or something. Yeah. That's way above my pay grade.
Next in 4-down territory.
3rd down.
NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport is reporting the NFL is suspending Raiders linebacker Vontaze Burfict without pay for the rest of the season. And according to Ian, he is going to appeal the suspension. Burfict ejected in Sunday's win over the Colts following this helmet-to-helmet hit on tight end Jack Doyle.
Well, there is the report from the NFL Network. Vontaze Burfict, who was suspended and fined 13 times while he was with Cincinnati, suspended for the year after that hit he laid out with the Raiders. And you were telling me earlier that you talked to, is it Paul Gunther, the Raiders
Yeah.
defensive coordinator who had him in Cincinnati.
Sure, yeah.
Said that Vontaze Burfict is literally one of the smartest.
No, he said the smartest player I have ever coached.
How can a guy who is the smartest guy, maybe the smartest guy out on the field, do so many stupid things? I get you guys as players have to hit a certain switch when you go out there.
Yeah.
Why can't this guy
just because you have great football understanding or you're a smart football player doesn't make you smart. It just makes you really, like there are a lot of people who aren't bright, but they're really like training and that. There's certain things that you get. Like, have you ever seen like super, super smart book people? Like they just are really, really smart, but they're absolute idiots when it comes to, emotional quotient to understanding kind of horse sense. Like how could you be that dumb? For a smart guy, you sure are dumb. Like he's a really smart football player, but he gets on a football field and he's just loses his mind. He doesn't think. He just wants to go out and destroy things. So I think that's, and plus I think he's got a bit of dirty in him. I think he's I think that's his history would say that. I don't think he'll ever play again.
Next in 4 down territory.
4th down.
I love Tom Brady.
Jeez.
I love that.
Well, your boy Tom handing out advice, which I'm sure Josh Allen and the Bills Mafia probably doesn't want to hear right now. But Brady says that, quote, from a quarterback standpoint, I feel like it's always best to try to be available to the team, and it's trying to take risk, reward, and so forth. I try to do the best I can to avoid any big shots like that. And he also went on to say, a lot of quarterbacks who do run, they're trying to make yards, and it's great. At the same time, you're susceptible to big hits, whether it's flagged or not, or whether it's a penalty. A lot of the rules have changed over the years. I know that some people were like, hey, man, Brady, pay attention to your own team. But to me, I think it's great advice on a Sunday in which we saw both Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky, 2 high draft picks, both get hurt, leaving the pocket, scrambling, running. I have said this forever to the people who are like, well, you got to have a mobile quarterback. You got to have a quarterback who can run around and make something out of nothing, make things happen. And all that is a recipe to get your quarterback hurt, because eventually they are going to get hurt. Lamar Jackson will eventually get hurt, okay? So until you have a quarterback who can stand in the pocket, win in the pocket, dominate from the pocket, that's all that matters. Not a guy that runs around, because a guy that runs around is going to get hurt.
The unsustainability of making yards in the running game with your quarterback. There's a matter of time. Like you can be very judicious with the times you take off, and you can get to the ground, and you can do all those things. But there's going to come that time when somebody loops around and you're not going to see them, and they are going to lay you out. The pocket, the protection of the pocket is afforded the court. Look at, how many personal fouls have we seen that are ridiculous in the pocket? That's where you're protected. Remember, when you're outside of the pocket, you become a running back. And the running back rules apply. And I don't know if you've seen the longevity of the running backs in this league, but it's not very good. When was the last time you saw a really good 30-year-old running back? Those guys are few and far between because they're freak shows. Every now and again you get a Frank Gore, you get an Adrian Peterson, but for the most part, that doesn't happen. So, beware.
Beware and listen to what Tom Brady has to say. It's good advice.
He's a sage.
He's a sage, a wise sage. That'll do it for 4 Down Territory, our tour around the NFL. Bring that to you each and every morning at 7:30. Taking your Bronco leftovers and what Jeff Bridich has to say to those Rocky season ticket holders. That's next. Hey, for 25 years, Siltahar Motors has been there for people dealing with the really harsh, life-altering effects that bankruptcy can have on a person. The Zero Down program allows good people going through a tough time to be able to still purchase a car for zero down. Zero down and no payments for 45 days in almost all cases. For almost 30 years, Siltahar has helped folks dealing with bankruptcy because they recognize life still goes on and people depend on having a car to get kids around, to run errands, to get to work. The Zero Down team is made up of Brian, John, and Ty, 3 guys with a combined 30 years of experience at Siltahar. Experience. It's a word that you'll find is synonymous with Siltahar Motors. Family-run business for 60 years, 19 President Awards, the MVP that's given out in the car business. They're with you before you buy the car and after, and it's this kind of service that matters, as an average 1/3 of their monthly business is repeat customers. If you find yourself or know of someone dealing with bankruptcy, reach out to Siltahar Motors. Zero down in almost all cases, and you could be driving that new car from Siltahar the very next day. Call the Zero Down team at 720-446-9222 or online at sthmotors.com.
Was your car just damaged by the hail we just had? Tell your insurance company you'll only go local and take it to Mankey. Hi, it's Alan Roach, and Mankey is the auto body repair shop I recommend. Colorado family owned and operated with state-of-the-art equipment and certified technicians who can repair all makes and models. Mankey has in-house paintless dent repair technicians. These are people you can trust. Go to MAHNKEautobody.com for a location near you.
Oh.
I love.
Are they still together, the Smiths?
No, Morrissey left a long time ago and did his own. Yeah, he's gone on a solo career. I love the Smiths. I think Morrissey's probably a bit strange.
So you're going to London later today to call the Bears and Raiders for Fox, the London game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that you're not really looking to get out and enjoy London.
No.
So what if you hear if there's like a good, if there's a pub nearby that's got like some, good music.
Oh, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Like a good 80s band, like if New Order was playing or Morrissey or the Smiths were playing or the Clash or Modern English or what I mean, give me any kind of back in the day, kind of the back in the day 80s alternative band.
80s British invasion type stuff?
Yeah, any of that kind of stuff. I'm all over that. I'd be at the pub, having a pint. I think that's what you do, right? You have a pint. Is that what you do in London?
Yeah.
Maybe a trumpet? Have one of them?
Now we're at a trumpet?
Yeah, have a trumpet.
You've gone from trumpet to trumpet when you're supposed to be saying crumpet.
Oh, really?
No,
I know, Mike.
No.
I wanted to,
in fact,
though.
That last "oh really" is still
stuck in your craw.
No, it's still under review.
No, it's not under review.
That thing has been appealed.
No, it hasn't.
That thing is in the appeal process.
No, it's not.
Because with you now, I just don't know what's "oh really" and you just being wrong.
Right. I'll give you that. There's a lot of things I just don't really know. Oh, yeah. Benny finding some New Order right there. How about, what if Echo and the Bunnymen? Right?
Yep.
Bring in the cutter. Maybe, the Killing Moon. A great tune like that. That would be awesome. It would just be awesome. I would love that.
All right. Some Bronco Jags leftovers on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. If we end up with a top 4 pick, I don't want to draft Herbert. People are comparing him to Marcus Mariota. Elway likes Herbert. Fire Elway before he makes another mistake in quarterback.
Well, didn't they took Locke?
All right,
you think they're going with a bear?
I can't.
I don't buy it.
I can't go there yet. There's still 12 games left in the season. I can't be talking.
Mike, I really don't care.
I can't be talking about draft position right now. But all right, somebody brought it up, so let's talk about it. Let's say they finish with a top 5 pick. Let's say, and remember, to finish with a top 5 pick, it's looking like there's going to be a lot of competition to see who's going to be worse in the NFL. Right now, there are 6 winless teams in the NFL.
Gosh.
6 winless teams. Now, the Jets have only played 3 games, but they're winless. The Dolphins, winless. Bengals, winless. Where? Winless. Washington, winless. And Arizona's winless, but they got a tie.
And as a texter astutely pointed out in the 6 o'clock hour, we're the only one of those teams that's really trying to win. That's how bad we are. Like, Arizona has the air raid system. Like, come on. The Jets hired Adam Gase.
I think the Bengals
and their quarterback has mono.
The Bengals, I think, in theory, are trying to win, too. I mean, they have Andy Dalton still there. He's been there forever. So I think they're still – but you're right. Everybody else kind of, sort of is okay with losing. Probably the Jets, no, but – that changed when Darnold, kissed whatever he kissed. So
right.
All right, let's say you finish with a top 5 pick. The record to get a top 5 pick,
yes,
will probably be 3-13, 4-12 range. Winning 4 might be too much. Winning 4 might knock you out of the top 5. So you've done the Arizona twice
Yes.
now, right?
Yeah.
You're on the Cardinals beat. Can you see them winning 4 games this year?
The Cardinals?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
They just fired their starting safety. They cut him after 4 games. It just is.
The Dolphins aren't going to win 4. The Jets, I think, will come back and.
You think the Jets have a chance?
I think the Jets will at least get to 4.
They might.
Washington, get to 4.
Oh, that's like isn't Washington going to eventually move to their rookie quarterback?
Well, they did last week. Do they play
But
Haskins? Do they play Haskins against the Patriots this week?
Well, they
Your
moved
first
there
NFL
because
start?
Didn't Keenum get dinged up or something?
No, it was coach's decision. Case Keenum. Play it, Benny. Haven't heard that in a while. Oh, Case.
Keenum, there's the interception.
There you go.
I learned what it is to be a franchise quarterback.
So if you're talking about getting a top 3, top 4, top 5 pick, if you win 4 games, may put you out of the top 5. You win 5, definitely you're out of the top 5. All right, so here's where we're at.
Okay.
So let's say the Broncos, I'll play the game. Let's say the Broncos have a top 5 pick. Let's say they go 4-12. If they're in the midst of a 4-12 season, at which point, even if Joe Flacco's still playing well, your words, not mine, at what point do you go to Drew Lock and see what you have?
Well, obviously you can't go to Drew Lock until after 8 weeks.
Right.
So
right, that still leaves you with a bunch of games for him to play and get a sense of what you got.
I think, again, so how many wins? Give me their record after 10 games.
After 10 games. All right, and we're talking about them on pace for a top 5 pick, which is a 4-win season probably. So after 10 games, they probably have 2 wins.
Yeah, then you probably
they're 2-8.
All right, you probably see if you think that Drew Lock can be your guy.
Of course, you have to, right?
Right.
And then what that gives you is 5-6 games to see what you got. And then that makes it easy when you have your top 5 pick. Do you go after Tua, Herbert, Fromm? Everyone's talking about tank for Tua.
Right.
Bomb for Fromm.
Yeah.
How about Hurt for Hurts? Like, I brought up the idea of Jalen Hurts, and immediately I got from somebody, Jalen Hurts isn't a starting quarterback in the NFL. Really? They were saying the same thing about Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. They were saying the same thing about Kyler Murray at Oklahoma. There were questions of all kinds of questions. When the draft projections first came about Baker Mayfield, he was a tweener, late first round, early second. Same thing with Murray. So if Jalen Hurts goes out and has another, and he's well on pace to do exactly what Mayfield and Murray have done the last 2 years, and you add in the fact that he's got the Alabama pedigree and that off-the-chart intangibles with leadership and class, all of a sudden, how much does his stock soar?
How well does Kyler Murray play? Like, do you think what Kyler Murray does in Arizona will affect the way people think about Jalen Hurts coming out of Oklahoma?
Well, I thought Kyler Murray rode the Baker wave. So you're saying it could work the other way?
I think it could go. I mean, I think now.
If Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley put out 3 straight Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks,
can you imagine?
Then I think Jalen Hurts rides the wave. All the way into the first round, and maybe high up in the first round. Come on, you see how these things can change. You know, all it takes is to get to a Senior Bowl or get to the Combine and have a remember the breathless anticipation when Kyler Murray weighed in at measured 6 feet.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, zoom.
Right.
He went up.
No, you're 100% right on that. Oh, man. How many teams will be trying to get Lincoln Riley to come coach an NFL team if 3 years in a row his offense produces a Heisman Trophy winner? Don't you think? I mean, the way this league operates, don't you think that would be the case?
You would. But, okay, you talk about how Kyler Murray does and how it could affect Jalen Hurts. I wonder if the idea of reaching out and running out to get one of these hot young offensive guys who have the ode to McVay or the ode to Kyle Shanahan on them, I wonder if teams are looking at that differently right now. I mean, Scangarello, wrinkles, off to a rough start. Taylor there in Cincinnati, 0-4. Cliff Kingsbury, and whatever that offense he's running, 0-3-1. So this notion that I got to go get myself one of these bright young offensive minds, what's so bright about their performances thus far?
So you got think about the head coaches they hired. Kingsbury's hasn't won.
Nope.
They have a tie though. Cincinnati coach
Zach Taylor
hasn't won. Fangio hasn't won.
Right.
What are the coach that's a new hire hasn't won?
Oh, Brian Flores.
Flores hasn't won. There's 4.
Gase, not a first-time head coach, but first time with the Jets, hasn't won. And then there's poor Jay Gruden, who will be fired here. He'll be the first coach fired.
How many more games does he coach the Redskins?
Well, they're 0-4. They get New England this week. So that's 0-5. But then they get the Dolphins. So somebody's going to get a win, probably.
You think? What if that ended in a 0-0
That's got
tie?
tie
Would
written
that
all over
be the greatest thing? That would be the greatest game in NFL history. 2 defeated football teams end in a 0-0 tie after 4 quarters and 10 minutes of hard-fought football.
If they do have a top 5 pick, do you really want John Elway to be the one making that pick? I don't. That there are a lot of people who, in parts of themselves that they don't want to admit exists, feel that way.
Yeah.
Now, look, but then again, all right, if you're talking about a top 5 pick and it's not a quarterback, is it really one of those things where it's really hard to screw that up? I mean, Bradley Chubb's hurt, but Bradley Chubb can play.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't miss on Bradley Chubb. So would I trust John Elway with a top 5 pick picking a quarterback? Not necessarily.
Right.
Would I trust him with a top 5 pick picking a non-quarterback? Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious who those guys are, right? Then it just comes down to, do you take a Bradley Chubb or do you take a Quentin Nelson? Mark, focus. Come on, you just got that faraway look in your eye there.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you just I lost you there for a second.
Well, I'm looking at Quentin Nelson right now going, man.
Would you rather?
You want to play a game of Would You Rather?
Yeah. All right, first of all, let me remind everybody, this is KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. Would you rather have Bradley Chubb or Quentin Nelson? That's question mark, presented by Brakes Plus.
Oh, gosh. You're asking me. Wow. Me personally, based on the history of this football team, I'd take Quentin Nelson. Based on the fact that we have struggled now, Dalton Reisner, I think, is going to be a really good young player. I think he already is a really good young player. So, but boy, having one of those guys on each side.
Is it, because it used to always be offensive linemen, you could find good offensive linemen everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're a perfect example.
Right.
Right? But now it's harder and harder and harder to evaluate offensive linemen coming out of college, whereas it used to be hard to find pass rushers. But our pass rushers more plentiful now and easier to evaluate.
Yeah, there are. I think because it's become so hybrid and because you spend so much time in nickel, you spend so much time with these hybrid linebacker / rush edge guys, and I think colleges are spitting those guys out. I think far more than they used to. So yeah, I think that's a true statement.
So if we're playing the what would you rather game, then probably taking Nelson, the harder to find impact player at that position, would have been the smarter play than taking Chubb.
Both are great players.
Both are great players.
Both are great players.
And to me, it's Chubb or Nelson ahead of any of those other quarterbacks that went.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to would it have been Chubb, would it have been Nelson?
Right.
God, I hate saying that with Bradley Chubb laying around with a busted knee, but
but there's no wrong answer. Chubb, Chubb was. I didn't have any problem with them taking Chubb. Chubb's a great young player. What do you have? 12.5 sacks his rookie year. It just I don't have any issue with Chubb. I just based on the history of the issues they've had, you may be a little bit. You may be a little gun shy too because you took a left tackle that hasn't played well at that position. So you may be a little bit on the shell shock side,
As
so
plenty of people are pointing out on the RumbleSlot.com text line, you draft Nelson, you get to keep Shaq Barrett.
Ooh, hindsight's always hindsight's always 20/20, So
he signed what, a 1-year deal with Tampa, right?
1-year deal. So there was not a lot of. There's not a lot.
Right. It wasn't like Tampa was like, oh,
got him.
Stupid Broncos. Oh, I can't believe you let Shaq Barrett go. Oh, here we go.
Right.
Got him for 1 year.
Yeah, they got a 1-year deal. Now here's the key though, Mike. Does Tampa actually exercise a contract, sign that guy to a long-term deal in the midst of him doing record-breaking things? Do they sign him to a long-term deal, or do they let him kind of wallow in the contract, the 1-year, $3 million deal that he signed, and say, hey, we'll just wait till he becomes a free agent, then we'll sign him? Do you if you're Jason Light right now, who's their GM, do you go get him? Do you go sign him?
Oof. Or is this just the equivalent of a baseball player? He's got 600 at bats during a season. It just so happens in his first 30 bats of the season, he's hot, and he's putting up these numbers and he's hitting 625 with 4 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time the season ends up, his numbers are back to being
right
what they normally would be.
Yeah.
Is that because right now Shaquille Barrett is on pace after 4 games? He is on pace for 80 tackles, 36 sacks, 12 forced fumbles, and 4 interceptions.
Wait, give it to me one more time.
Right? This is what he's on pace for.
Okay.
I mean, again, it's the same thing as the guy who hits 3 home runs on opening day. He's
Right.
on pace to hit.
Yeah, I get it. But go ahead.
But, he's on pace for 80 tackles, 36 sacks, 9 already.
36 sacks.
That'd be a record.
Yeah.
12 forced fumbles. He's got 3 already. And 4 interceptions. He has 1 already. Here's, I'm sure, what the conversations are in Tampa. They're like, hey, check back with us in 4 more games. He's still putting up, maybe not these numbers, but still putting up. Then we're talking about renegotiating. Let's get a deal done.
What's the NFL? What's the NFL sack record?
See that coming? Did anyone see that coming?
No, everybody knew he was a good player, but they didn't see that coming. What's the NFL sack record? Is it like 22.5 or something like that? By Strahan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's around that.
That would be something.
Shaq Barrett has 9 sacks in 4 games in Denver, albeit playing in a rotational reserve role most of the time. But he still played, by the way. Played in all 16 games in 2015, 16, and 17, and played in 13 games last year. So he played.
Mm-hmm.
But in those 4 previous seasons, he had 14 sacks total. He's got 9 thus far.
9's pretty good, Mike.
But that goes back to the argument then.
Yeah.
If a guy like Shaq Barrett, given the chance, blossoms the way that he does, does it show that there are a lot of pass rushers out there? And that maybe you don't have to invest highly on one of them in the draft?
Well, there are a lot, but the special ones, the guy, and let's face it, some guys are kind of quote unquote late bloomers, and it takes a little bit of time to develop into that. And he sat behind a Von Miller, and I think he was here with DeMarcus Ware, correct? And so he had some of that going on. So we'll see. I mean, I'll tell you what, though, it's a great story.
Texter says, Barrett isn't hindsight. He was on your own team. Elway can't even evaluate his own players. There were 31 other teams that had a shot to go after Shaq Barrett as a free agent.
Yeah.
If all these evaluators out there saw that this guy was just being misused and ignored here in Denver, there would have been a bidding war for him. And there wasn't.
Yeah.
1 year, $3 million. I mean, good for him. But I don't know if you can just totally bag on the Broncos. Like, how did you let that guy get away? It looks bad right now, but
right.
Come on, when the offseason began, and we were talking about the list of available or current Bronco free agents. Come on out there. Come on, really, be honest. Who was out there banging the table saying, we got to bring back Shaq Barrett no matter what?
I mean, obviously nobody. I mean, that nobody was banging that table. And I mean, the fact that 31 teams, like it took one team and they thought so much of him that they gave him a 1-year, $3 million deal for a guy who can rush the passer. I mean, that's a coveted position, correct? I am correct. Everybody's trying to find themselves a pass rusher. Good for him, though. Good. I mean, good for him. I just hope he gets a huge contract, makes a ton of money.
You guys are like disaster relief workers going into the ruins looking for anything salvageable. Somebody has to do it. Listen, we. This
is like that Mike Rowe dirty jobs.
That's right. It was brought up. What do you do if you have a top 5? I don't want to make this the daily conversation. There were still 12 games left to be played.
Right.
It goes back to a column, not a blog, that I wrote last week.
Right.
About 0-3 start, now an 0-4 start, depends on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
If you view it through the lens of, hey, I thought that the Fangio bump was going to be real.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was all Vance Joseph's fault. I thought this was a 9 or 10 win team. Then what you're seeing right now is flat out disastrous.
Right.
Okay? The other school of thought is if you saw this team through the lens of, they're slowly, they're rebuilding on the fly. They're doing it while trying to win at the same time. I think this is a 7-9 or 8-8 football team, and that if you have a 7-9 or 8-8 season, it can still feel when it's all said and done that it's going
right
the right way, right?
Yeah.
So that's still in play. Now the idea of them winning 8 games right now even seems pretty. They have to go 8-4 the rest of the way, but they get 7-5. I don't think that's out of reach right now.
I mean,
even if they go 6-6 the rest of the way,
right.
you win 6 games. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's 6-10. But starting off 0-4, you win 6-6. I guarantee you, if that happened, I'm not saying it will, but if it did, I think there'd be plenty of pockets of optimism around here that, hey, during the 6 games, those 6 wins, I saw a lot.
All right, wait a minute now. What do we get? Controversy? I closed down. All right, Ben. Go ahead. Just pop on, Ben, and tell us what went down.
So the other day, Stink, when you called the Broncos soft, we made a video out of it.
That was yesterday, yeah.
We made a video out of it, and we tweeted it on the fan.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek Wolfe had a nice little response.
Okay.
Saying, wrong. We are far from soft, Stink.
Okay.
If I see a guy without a hoodie on, I'm going to let him know. You better go get a hoodie on.
Listen, Derek Wolfe is as tough as they come. But and this just goes to me and the way I think, and this goes to the way I was brought up in this league. If you give up 269 yards rushing and 7 yards a carry, you're soft.
150 of those yards after contact.
That's the way I was brought up. So we can argue semantics, and I'm saying if you give that up in a game, that is soft as butter. So, Derek Wolfe and I can have a disagreement and still be buddies. At least I hope we are, because Derek Wolfe could pound me into submission. but you know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know that there's any other way. There's any other way to explain that. Just like if I go out and give up 5 sacks, man, that's soft.
I'm all for Derek Wolfe standing up, defending himself,
absolutely,
defending his team. You've said it many times. The worst thing that you can call a football player besides a quitter or a choker is soft. Now, a little bit of context here for Derek Wolfe. You met with Vic Fangio before you did the Bears game.
Correct.
And you guys were talking about the defense.
Yeah.
And what did Vic Fangio say?
Said we played soft in Oakland.
Okay.
So
that's coming from your head coach. And I don't think this is the time, fresh off dropping to 0-4, fresh off giving over 200 yards rushing,
269 and 7 yards per carry
is the time to come out and say, hey, we're not soft.
After first contact. So,
you know what? I think in that situation, you just got to kind of wear it for a while. Maybe you don't agree with what Mark had to say, but you got to wear that for a while.
There's a lot.
Have to.
There's a lot of things, that I've been wrong about. And Vance Joseph and I last year, after they gave up 200-plus yards rushing in New York, I referred to it in a meeting as an ass-kicking, and he got mad at me. And we had a discussion about that. And I was like, well, I don't know what you call it, but when I played, we called it an ass-kicking, right? So, I mean, I just try to be honest. Like, that's kind of how I define it. So, in that particular game against Jacksonville, you guys got thunder punched.
But I'm glad he is fighting back.
Sure.
Because the last thing I want are guys to be moping around going, we are soft. You're right. We can't stop anything. We suck. I don't want them thinking that way. I'm glad there's a little fight there.
Sure.
But now, go out and prove it.
Yeah.
Before you start making comments
man.
like that, go out and prove it.
Hang a picture of me in the facility and throw darts at it. Be mad.
Oh, there may be one of those in the offensive line room.
I don't. Again, you know what? I don't care. And the good news is I'm jumping on a plane to London right now.
That's right.
Nobody's going to find me.
See you later.
But no, I'm
Derek Wolfe,
listen.
you want a piece? I'll be in London.
Yeah. Come find me. No. I'm glad that he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. But I tell you what, if you explain it any other way than that, then you're not dealing in football reality. And that's not on me, that's on you. So you got to fight back, you got to bow your back, you got to have all that stuff, but the bottom line is, you know what? That's great. Now go out and win a game in LA. Go out and stand up in that environment to a team that's got more injuries than you do.
And something tells me that if Derek Wolfe or any member of that defense went up to Vic Fangio and said, "Hey, Coach, what do you think of our defense right now?" What do you think he'd probably tell? If Derek Wolfe went up to Vic Fangio right now and said, "Coach, do you think we're soft?" What do you think Vic would say?
Yep. We played soft. But again, it's an offensive word, Mike.
It is.
It's NFL, the lexicon of the NFL, that is an offensive word. And I used it. There was purpose in the use of that word, because that's exactly what it is.
Well, this defense has given up 3 200-yard rushers in the last calendar year. In the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Go back last year, Isaiah Crowell, Todd Gurley, and now Leonard Fournette. That's yeesh.
And Jacksonville hadn't had a 100-yard rusher in like 22 games or something.
Right.
Anyhow.
Right. Somebody asked, do you think this defense is out of shape?
Oh, I think at this point, like, all defenses are a bit out of shape. They're all working back in because again.
But you don't. All right.
You don't.
Go ahead, say it, because then I'm.
What?
Well, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. Why is it this was my pet peeve during training camp? Why is it that the Broncos felt the need, coming off the last 2 seasons with a brand new coaching staff, why they felt the need to follow the herd mentality? Well, everybody else shuts down their starters, so are we.
Yeah. Well, we had a really long camp. Felt like it was forever.
Why? You don't have to do that. So instead of just going along with the idea of, well, yeah, we got to play ourselves into shape because that's what everybody else does, or yeah, our offense is going to be a work in progress because our guys didn't play much during the preseason, but that's what everybody else does. Why? Your guys don't have to be working themselves into shape. They can come into the season already in shape. Play in the preseason. Wondering why your offense is sputtering through the first 4 weeks of the season? Don't go 3 weeks in the preseason between snaps for your starters.
Yeah.
There is not a league rule saying you have to do all these things.
And this
you
is not,
can break away
way,
from the herd and do what you want to do,
right,
what you think is best for your football team.
And by the way, Mike, this is not hindsight. This is not the benefit of hindsight. You and I both said completely disagree with giving that 4th preseason game, which was really the 3rd preseason game, like the starters not playing it. Both of you and I said we think that was a mistake back then. Because of the fact, like you said, you're going to go 3 weeks without actually playing. And, oh, by the way, I mean, come on. I get the injury aspect of, but you got to be ready. You had some games here that were winnable. The Raiders was a winnable game. Jacksonville, a winnable game. Like, you had games that were winnable.
Yeah, that
you literally should be sitting at worst 2-2 right now.
Yeah, I think that if you go out and you treat the preseason like the preseason used to be treated, and you thumbed your nose at the conventional groupthink that's going on around the NFL when it comes to handling the preseason, I think they're 2-2. So this is entirely on Vic and John and the way that they mapped out this preseason. Great. Everybody, well, not even everybody's healthy anymore. But,
right.
All right, hey, we were healthy. We were fresh to start the season. We're 0-4. And, yeah, I have a pretty good gut feeling that if they had actually played during the preseason and prepared and got in reps and was willing to roll the dice and, all right, maybe somebody gets dinged up, maybe somebody gets hurt. I think they're 2-2. Yeah.
Guess what, Mike? Guess what? Guys get hurt regardless. There's 100% chance you're going to get hurt if you play in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
You took it easy in the preseason, and Jawan James lasted 10 plays in the regular season before he was done. You took it easy in the preseason, Kareem Jackson, hurt. Took it easy in the preseason, Bryce Callahan, hurt, never got better. You took it easy in the preseason, Bradley Chubb, torn ACL. You took it easy in the preseason, Tim Patrick, hurt. Guys are going to get hurt. But if you are in agreement with me that this team would be 2-2 instead of 0-4 if they had only taken the preseason more seriously, then what an epic fail on the part of this organization. If you're willing to go there, if you think that proper preparation and playing your regulars more than the average NFL team does during the preseason would have them at 2-2 instead of 0-4, that is just gross negligence on the part of the Broncos organization.
And listen, I believe in that. What do I always tell you about the preseason? The games don't count, but they do what? Matter.
Yeah.
It matters. Getting you ready to play. Especially when you're a team that needed to come out and get some wins early. Going through a new coordinator, a new first-time head coach who's coordinating the defense, a new quarterback. Your best wide receiver coming off of an Achilles. Like, those things matter. They do.
All right, coming up next, we're going to hear from Rex Ryan. What kind of advice would he give Vic Fangio, a guy who coached under Sexy Rexy back in the day? What kind of advice would he give Vic Fangio with this 0-4 start? You'll hear it coming up next.